Hi, my name's Luke Symington,
And my name is Scott McLaughlin.
and we were asked by some friends to talk about people who have been allies in our lives as people who are members of the LGBTQ community.
And we are members of that community.
We're good members. So I would say we've lived very different lives and have had very different experiences, and the way that people have been allies in our lives range from really huge, grandiose ways that are like overwhelming, and then ways that are also really small and simple. And so I think we want to talk about all of those things. And so, starting off would probably be the big thing, one of the hugest things that happened for us as a couple, as far as having people be allies, not just for us, but as individuals, but for us as a couple. And so I'm going to ask you to talk about that in the beginning. So you start describing.
Well, so now it would be 10 years ago or 9 years ago,
Math.
one of those days, we had a ceremony. And the thing that was significant about this ceremony was that it was prior to legalized marriage for gay people. And it was actually even prior to civil unions, which, when we can say it was only 9 or 10 years ago, that doesn't feel like that's that far away, that it hasn't been that long that gay marriage has been legalized. And so doing it at a time when it was not yet legal and trying to find community in that was kind of interesting. And what we ended up doing was we did it down at this special place to us, and it's the Clock Tower Cabaret, at that time known as Lanny's Clock Tower Cabaret. And that place was special because that place had brought us kind of together with our differences of something we loved in these performances we saw. And the cool thing about that place is that we didn't have a lot of money to do our ceremony. And the place rented us their space to use for cheap. But not only that, but a lot of the performers we loved and have gotten to know came together and did a show for the ceremony completely for free. And their support of that, their support of us, really kind of said that they could bring us into their community. It wasn't that we are LGBT communities separate, but they brought us into their community of being performers. And we would obviously end up performing with them at times, and that's another story. But it was just so cool that they treated us like family and treated us like any other couple and helped us as if we were, had been longtime friends with them. And it was something that we'll never forget, just how special they helped make our day when we were doing everything on a dime. And to this day, our families still talk about that wedding. So.
And I think for me, it was what was so interesting was I had just come out of doing ministry for a long time and had actually just kind of come out. And I think what the performers and folks that helped out didn't realize was that there were people in the crowd that were from ministry, and they went out and just befriended them and kind of normalized us for them and helped them see that our relationship wasn't this bizarre thing, but was something that was just, it was love, and it wasn't any different than the love that they had for their spouses. And so that was super important. And then I think we also have, did you have an individual experience you wanted to share?
I have a lot of individual experiences, but the one that really sticks out to me most is when I came out to my oldest sister. I was 15 at the time, so I came out very, very young to her, and I came out to her because she and I had an especially close relationship. She's 12 years older than me, and when I came out to her, her reaction was not great. She said, "No, you can't be gay. There's no way that, I know you too well. This isn't who you are." And it was a really sad and terrible moment. But what ended up happening behind my back is that she ended up going and getting books to learn about us LGBT people. and basically just educated herself on it. And by the time I came out to my parents 2 years later, my sister had become my biggest ally, and I think that's where we really define the word ally as somebody who doesn't just acknowledge, but steps up to the plate and is there to support. And that's what she had done. So she went from saying, no, this can't be who you are, to I honor who you are and I will help you. And so that was one of the hugest things. And of course, she ended up speaking at our ceremony. So it was pretty serendipitous and wonderful to have a sister like that who would go from being a very conservative person who didn't want to support that to secretly educating herself and becoming my biggest advocate, my biggest ally, to speaking at our ceremony and adopting him as her brother-in-law, which my whole family did. So,
and I think for me especially, I came from such a world that was not a fan of our community, and probably the simple things that people did have meant the most to me. People coming alongside me and just asking questions about my life and about my experience. People who seemed not afraid of me, because definitely some relationships changed when folks found out that I was gay, and a lot of people distanced themselves, and especially I think men. Suddenly it felt like there was a shift in the relationship to our interactions, almost feeling like they'd stand further away, or they would just watch interactions, or you could feel people be like, wait, so did he like me like this, or did he like me like me like me? And the most important thing for me was like people who could just be like, our relationship was our friendship was our friendship, and it didn't change, and you didn't change, and my view of you, meaning their view of me, didn't change. So it was people who could still ask big questions and ask simple questions. And again, I think the thing, like, just normalize, be able to be an ally in the sense that they could still hang out with me. And if for some reason, sorry, our dog's here and he's probably going to jump in the video. If for some reason we were sitting next to each other and we bumped into each other, it wasn't an immediate like withdrawal, like, oh my God, I can't touch the gay guy.
He's the star of our lives.
So not being afraid of that, like friends who could still hug and not feel like it was weird. Friends who asked about, what is your view on this? What has the world said and done to you that has been hard, and what has the world said and done to you that has been good? So I think overall, like I was saying, like we have things that have been very grand. Probably a lot of you don't have the capacity to put on shows for all of your friends that you or coworkers that you find out are in our community, but you have the capacity to have normal relationships with them. And that's the most powerful thing in the world. And I would also add the cheesy things about, like, when people post I'm an ally on Facebook, I know that sounds so stupid, but it means something to me. And it's so simple. This might be what I really think. When people are not afraid that if they're friends with me, the other people are going to think, oh, I'll bet he's gay too. Because I have a friend who said, I don't care if people think, if I hug you when we leave, I don't care if they think that I'm gay. It's not a big deal to me, because why is that different than being straight? And so not being afraid of a perception as far as one community is bad and one community is good, that we're all just people, and being able to love people well is really important. So again, the grand things, but I think then just again the simple things of maybe studying up like his sister did, and maybe just helping keep a relationship as normal. So we appreciate you guys listening and appreciate that the stuff that you're doing, that you're interested in knowing about what it means to be an ally.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.